This presentation is called Hormones and Weight Loss. The fatter you get, the fatter you get. I think we all know that putting on 5 pounds is one thing, but we all notice also that the next 5 pounds and beyond tend to be much quicker. There's a very real physiologic reason for this, and we will detail that in this presentation. Firstly, though, we will talk about fasting and weight loss and why that is not the optimal way to lose weight. If you consume less than 800 calories, this is considered a starvation diet, and what happens in this situation is that the body adapts, and what it does is try to hang on to its calories and preserve function, particularly for the vital organs. It does this by hanging on to the body's fat stores, and the mechanism by which this happens is as follows. Thyroid function is dependent upon T4, which is inactive thyroid. For those of you that may be on thyroid supplementation, that's Synthroid or levothyroxine. Those medicines, as well as in your body, that T4 must convert to T3 to be active. And it is required that you have carbohydrates, for one, for this to happen, and for two, that you consume more than 800 calories. So if you do not meet these criteria, your body then shuts down to a degree and starts hanging on to calories, and it does this by altering its thyroid function. It is also important to note that this function is necessary because what it does is it hangs on to fat stores around the vital organs, and what happens if you pursue this means by fasting or whatever other means, what happens is that your body composition is very poor. You hang on to fat, you become flabby, and yet you may still lose weight. So it's very important, all this being said, to consume at least 800 calories a day, and 200 of those must be from carbohydrates. Many of you that have tried the Atkins diet may have noticed a very quick and rapid weight loss in the beginning, and then after about 2 weeks you've noticed that it slows down dramatically. Well, this is the reason that happens. And the next thing we'll discuss here has to do with ways to avoid starvation mode. The first one, like we talked about, consume 800 calories a day or more, 200 from carbohydrates, and what is not listed here is there is another means to do this, and that is by using HCG, which we will touch upon a little bit later. Next, we'll go into thyroid function. Everyone knows that thyroid is important for metabolism, but what the problem in society now is that the low thyroid conditions are not recognized by mainstream medicine. In fact, they're not recognized by virtually everyone. Symptoms of low thyroid: cold hands and cold feet, a body temperature that's consistently lower than 98 degrees, constipation, especially chronic type constipation, hair thinning, not male pattern, but generalized throughout the scalp. Some things not listed here are also eyebrow hair thinning or loss, especially around the edges, brittle nails, dry cracking nails, and hair tends to be drier, kinkier, breaks easily, those kind of things. It's important also to note that a typical thyroid panel will not pick up many conditions of low thyroid. Okay, now we're going to get back to the eating spiral, which is what I talked about in the beginning. The fatter you get, the fatter you get, and we're going to talk about why right now. In your body fat, there is an enzyme called aromatase, and this is true for both men and women. What this enzyme does is manufacture estrogen. So the more body fat you have, the more aromatase enzyme you have. And when that occurs, your body makes excesses of estrogen, especially relative to the other hormones in the body. Well, excess estrogen does two things. One, it stores body fat directly, and two, it increases the amount of something called TBG. And TBG stands for thyroid binding globulin. And what that does is essentially just like it sounds. It binds up circulating free thyroid in the blood and makes it virtually unusable by the body. So, to sum up, you gain body fat, you gain aromatase, you gain estrogen, you store body fat, you slow the metabolism, and it's a vicious cycle. And this is why weight gain is almost exponential sometimes. This woman is up here because she's a very typical result from our program here. You can see she's probably lost in excess of 50 pounds. We've had several patients that have lost over 100 pounds. So all of this is possible if you follow the program and you pay particular attention to your hormones. And we'll move on here. Okay, this is why the program it's so very important to control appetite, either with phentermine and or chromium. There is a version we have that contains both those components. Briefly, chromium is added because it modulates blood sugar. It avoids the spikes and the dips in blood sugar. Also HCG. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. Okay, this is as good a time as any. So the HCG, what it does is it allows you to consume less than that 800 calories, and carbohydrates are now unimportant as well. So you essentially can go on a starvation diet and lose weight. And the reason this works is because HCG mimics thyroid stimulating hormone and alters thyroid metabolism in a few other ways. But essentially, it keeps the metabolism cranking while you are dieting. People often say, well, my gosh, 500 calories, I can't do that. Well, the answer to that is, believe it or not, most people do not experience extreme hunger while using HCG, especially when used along with the phentermine. The final thing we'll talk about here is testosterone, why it's important for men and for women. Two main things. One, as we all know, testosterone puts on muscle. Muscle is like a calorie bank. The more muscle you have, the more calories you can eat and not gain weight. This is also why men tend to lose weight much quicker than women. However, testosterone is equally important for women, if not more so, because not only does it do the aforementioned thing with the muscle tone, but it also speeds up metabolism. Just like you might think, it happens from converting T4 to T3 more rapidly. So it maintains thyroid metabolism and all around is a very vital part of your hormone and weight loss program. Thanks very much. Take care.